Oh, hello, hello. This is a pre-recorded Hollow Knight video because I will be going away for about like 3 days in a row. So I'm stocking up. This is like, I'm making this pretty much immediately after video 271. So, I'm warmed up. Well, it's not immediately after. I went out shopping and blah blah blah. I've done some other stuff, watching YouTube. I've also practiced the Nightmare King Grimm. Yeah, just a bit more. I didn't beat them. I just kind of practiced for a bit on Radiant and didn't win. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try Absolute Radiance. It's been a while. And I did surprisingly well. Once again, didn't win. I was playing on just a tune. I didn't give myself much time to play because I realized, oh shit, I should probably make a Hollow Knight video for like a backlog. But yeah, my hope is that if I play, like if I reach Nightmare King Grimm, that I will be able to beat them. I'm pretty sure I can. It's like it's iffy though, because there's a lot of stress. But I'm pretty confident to fight. Like if I'm not playing Radiant, I have a good shot. So yeah, it's just that I have to go through Soat first. Soat is very difficult. And then after him comes False Champion, who is, you know, a very punishing, difficult fight. Just because of how much damage he pulls out. Like, double damage each hit. A lot of hits coming in. Can't fuck you up. I have, however, found a strategy from watching other better people. And it works really well. You just kind of bait out his attack where he jumps at you. And then you dash under him and then Cyclone Slash, and then you run away again. I watched one video specifically today, made by Trollector. His first video, actually, like day 0, his first clear of the Pantheon. His strategy was just to run to one side of the arena, dodge whatever wave dash came around and stuff like that. I can try to do it here, but because apparently this kind of baits him to come attack you. Like that, and then he does that, and then he immediately dashes all the way over here. Now he's gonna do one wave. Likely not two, because I'm too far away. Yeah, then he gets that, jumps towards you, and you can cycle dash again and run away. Of course, you don't need to do that with this guy, because he's pushover. Really slow. You saw how long he was in the air there. It's outrageous. But you know, that's basically the strat. Wanna heal up. So that, I think I can beat him consistently now. Like with that strategy, it's just so easy to like so hard to fuck up almost that I should be able to win. That leaves mostly just Zope. That's my main roadblock right now. And then of course my PB, Nightmare King Grimm, where I think I can beat them. You know, I'm just itching to try again. You know, I'm not completely consistent on Radiant, but on Attuned, I find nooks and crannies to heal in, and just to... I don't die at that fight. It's very punishing. I only have very little health, but whatever. I think I got this. I just gotta get there. It's like an hour ahead of me. I gotta be through a lot of easy bosses. That doesn't take very long, and then once I reach Markarth, the next 5 fights are very slow. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like Markarth, Zote, Nightmare King Grimm, and Pure Vessel, and Absolute Radiance, of course, are very difficult fights that require a lot of patience and careful planning and stuff. And they also just take a lot of time because they have a lot of HP. Arguably, False Champion is the quickest one of them because you can do that strategy with the Cyclone Slash and you get staggered a bit quickly. It's not that long. But you know, Markarth is definitely very long because you have to be patient. Zote as well is very long, has a lot of HP. And you know, generally just you have a lot of dodging to do. And yeah, Nightmare King Grimm, Pure Vessel, and Radiance are just long fights. So that will likely take up like half an hour. Or maybe more of the entire run. Like I spend an hour reaching, like maybe I spend like 40 minutes reaching that point, and then 40 more minutes just beating those 5 bosses, with Fall Champion being in there relatively quickly. I think. You know, I wouldn't know. I haven't gotten that far yet. But, that's the gist of it, I think. Already where I've reached, like, once I reach, around the town of, like, Markov, it gets really slow. Like, I think, now I'm thinking of most of, like, fighting, like, 2 stages. I have before Collector, and then before Markov. The rest are just, ominous. Yeah. Shit. Oh yeah. That's about it, I guess. I don't really have anything to yap about. I yapped all I wanted to earlier today. Oh yeah. Guess I could make some book yap or D&D yap. I'm playing a lot of campaigns as a player. Haven't DM'd for a while. I mean, I've done some one-shots, but they're not something I want to talk about. I can give off some like information about what I would do if I was a DM. I have some good ideas, I think, that I could do. That I want to try once I become a DM, like again at some point. But that would be alright. It's just a lot of loose thoughts, and I likely won't use them. Because when I'm a DM, I just come up with new stuff anyway. I don't need to remember old stuff. Book yap? I guess. I've been reading a lot earlier today. The book has gotten really good. I'm in part 3 now. Part 1 was really boring to me. I didn't like it very much. Which I think is good. All the good books I've read has had a slow beginning. And I usually dislike the beginning of the book and love the later parts. You know, just all that setup and all that. But now it's beginning to really go hard. The second part, I already started liking the book, but only one POV specifically really interests me. Technically 2 POVs. Like, this book started with like 2 different POVs, and after the first part, their setup was kind of over, and they're beginning to go through their more interesting character development issues and struggles and blah blah blah. Then they started doing shit, and I was excited. Then one of the POVs got replaced by 2 new ones, who are like very involved in like the political aspect of the world in a way that like they directly mention, like talk to the king multiple times, and like they have more access to magic and resources, and their actions have huge impact on multiple people throughout the entire country, which I guess is cool. But they were just so slow. All of their chapters were spent setting up the world and the people and blah 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 political stuff, which is cool. But I've just been shown 2 other cool people, and I just want to see them. It really didn't help that the third and final POV in that chapter was like absolute peak. Like any chapter I was not reading about Kaladin, which is the based guy, was a chapter that I didn't enjoy because I wanted to be reading about Kaladin. So that was kind of interesting. You know, the book is so good that it made me dislike other parts of the book. You know what I mean? Like it was somehow spoiling itself by being too good in other aspects. That's kind of still the same thing. Kaladin chapters are absolute peak. And when I'm not reading about Kaladin, I wish I was reading about Kaladin. That, however, is kind of mediated by now. Like the part 3 is mostly Kaladin and 1 other person. Part 2 is about Kaladin and 2 other people, so the different POVs had these. They're split like 3 ways, but only 1 of the 3 were ones that I were really interested about. But now we don't have the 2 others anymore, and it's awesome. Time to get in the theory territory. Last chapter I read was about Kaladin and his bridge run. He was doing a new strategy where he was using the bridge as a shield, which is something you might think like, oh, why haven't you done that yet? I'm not gonna explain what's happening in the book. If you don't know the book, you can just get fucked, I guess. It's called Stormlight Archive. I'm actually gonna spoil it now. I realize that people do watch my videos. This video is probably not very fun because I'm not explaining any of the setup and just making theories. But if you have read it, good for you. He's on a bridge run. He's carrying a bridge for an army across a bunch of chasms, and he's been given no shields, no nothing. He's on the front lines. Multiple archers are shooting him down. There are many different bridges, like bridge crews of like up to 40 people, I think, in each, carrying huge-ass bridges under the shoulders for long lengths, just having to run with them, and place them on top of a chasm, and then the real soldiers can come and walk over them. The bridge runs have been made in a weird way that all the bridge people are just like slaves and prisoners being sent to bridge runs, which is basically a death sentence. There's a huge death toll on the bridge people because they bridge crews, because they just get mowed down by archers. There's really nothing defending them. You're not allowed to have shields for some reason, and it's just a horrible time for them. All the opponents are aiming for them because they're so easy targets, like almost naked people carrying a gigantic piece of wood on their heads, just easy pickings, you know? So a lot of bridge crews die. Kaladin, however, is determined to live and have his crew live as well. He's on the worst bridge crew of them all, the one with the biggest death, likelihood of death. A lot of people die on that specific crew. And now he's in charge of it, and he tries his best to save everyone. Doesn't quite work, but he saves most. This time, however, he found a strategy. He wanted to use the bridge as a shield, holding it in a weird way. Instead of on top of their heads, he wanted to hold it on the side so that they could quickly turn around and use the bridge as a shield when the archers were shooting. Like, they were shooting in like waves, you know, at the same time. So if he just quickly moves around, like turns a bit, when the wave is coming, he can manage to dodge a lot more arrows. Blah blah blah. Which is a cool strategy. And you know, it makes you wonder, why haven't they done this before? You know, just use the bridge as a shield. If they're not allowed other shields, why not use the bridge as a shield? Well, that is explained because his strategy works perfectly. No one on his crew dies, and it is awesome. His people are like so thankful at him. It's awesome. Yeah, good job. They practiced their strategy like on the same day and the day before, making sure they wouldn't fumble. And you know, it's a difficult way of holding the shield. It's not built in that way, like the bridge. You're supposed to hold it on top of your heads because that's the easiest way to hold it. But on the side, it allows them to use it as a shield, and it's kind of difficult to use, but they manage, and it works great. However, this kind of throws off the overall strategy of the army, because the reason is revealed here that why bridge crews aren't allowed in shields, simply because the commander who are enslaving them and forcing to do this just wants them to die. They are cannon fodder. There are more bridge crews than needed because that allows the enemy soldiers to shoot at the bridge crews instead of the real soldiers. The commander has absolutely no respect for human life and sees the bridge crews as entirely expendable. He doesn't even think of them as human. He just thinks of them as bait. You know, it's awesome. He doesn't want them to have shields because that would make them more likely to survive fights and also make them more likely to not be shot at, because the enemy soldiers might shoot at other people, you know, maybe they shoot at other archers or the soldiers with spears. The people who our commander believes are more valuable than just the slaves he's buying for suicide runs. So when Kaladin here makes a strategy that uses the bridge as a shield, it works, and the enemy soldiers stop shooting at them because they realize, oh, they got a huge shield in front of them. I'll just shoot at someone else than them. And his entire crew survives, but the overarching battle completely fails, and our commander loses the fight completely. Very one-sided. This made everything worse. On top of that, his strategy works so great, using the shield as using the bridge as a shield, that other bridge crews tried to copy him mid-battle, but they weren't at all as experienced by doing this. They haven't practiced or anything, so they just fumble and fall, and in the end it just becomes chaos and it fucks up completely. And womp womp. So now he's likely going to die, or at least be sentenced to death because of insubordination or something. He has valid arguments that he's never been told he's not allowed to do this. In fact, he was actually encouraged by his immediate superior to do so, because the superior didn't really understand the plan at all. all the Superior knew is that holding the shield, like, bridge on a side looked like a bad idea if you don't think of it, like, as a shield. It just seems stupid. And his Superior just wants him to die because he's kind of a trouble kid. So yeah, he completely agreed. Yeah, do that, dude. Hell yeah. Go for it. Thinking was the worst plan ever. But it wasn't. And he got fucked. Of course, his Superior just won't admit to having given Kaladin permission. Like, he can just lie and say, no, I never gave him permission. He went against my orders. So, our friend Kaladin is kind of in a bad spot where he's going to be the scapegoat. He'll be killed off in order to save the asses of the higher-ups, who are going to be very, very strictly punished for kind of fucking up. Like, they have responsibility for the bridge crews. Like, you know, they're supposed to stop this from happening. Not allow the bridge crews to form up new plans. You know, they're expendable, wasteful soldiers. Like, there's expendable slaves to do this thing. They're not allowed to think about different strategies. They're just cannon fodder, and that's it. They hold bridges. They're slaves. They die. Who cares? They just employed a weird new strategy without authorization. This should have been stopped. There's no reason this could have ever happened unless the superiors of the bridge crew fucked up or was like too incompetent or something. So Kaladin's fucked. His superiors are fucked, making them want to fuck him even more, and it's an interesting spot, a very interesting spot where a lot of drama's gonna happen. He did weed himself out of immediate death, like as soon as the battle was over. His superiors went up to him and was like, "All right, I'm gonna kill you now. You fucked up." And he managed to like convince them to keep him alive just a bit longer because, you know, without him, it might look suspicious. You know, the superiors are gonna get punished likely because they let this happen. But if they let Kaladin live, he argues, then maybe he can like convince the commander that it was all his plan and the superiors had nothing to do with it and stuff like that. So the superiors is like, they're keeping alive just for him to take the blame completely, instead of killing him and people maybe asking questions, wondering if the superiors had something to do with it. And they didn't really have anything to do with it. They didn't expect this to happen. They allowed him to hold the bridge in a weird way in hopes that Kaladin would just die because it was a stupid plan. They didn't realize he was going to use that as a shield. So yeah. Kaladin also didn't realize that using it as a shield would fuck everything up this badly. Like, he just wants to survive and have his men survive. He's a good person who just doesn't want to die and let his crew survive, you know? Or die either. He didn't realize that the entire purpose of existence, of his and his crew's existence in this army, was to be bait for enemy archers. You know, that they're supposed to be shot at and die from it. They're supposed to be easy targets because that makes them more likely to be hit, and therefore not no other soldiers will need to be attacked. He didn't realize this until this very moment, and it's like, oh fuck, they're gonna have no problem just killing me. So yeah, that's where we left off. Also, there's some interesting lore implications. Fuck, there's some interesting main character moment happening where previously in the book we've seen the currency in this world are made of like gemstones that light up. They can just glow when infused with something called stormlight, which is kind of the magic in the world. It's not really used for magic at all in this entire world because no one knows it can be done so. All we know is that stormlight can glow, and people use that for light. You know, they have lamps just out of gemstones wielding like with stormlight inside of them. So it's just basically electricity without electricity, so they can just make very bright lamps. That's awesome. But other than that, they really don't have any use for stormlight. Our main character, however, seems to be able to absorb stormlight and use it to gain physical strength of some kind. He doesn't realize this, and I think only now are we supposed to be thinking about it, too. Because early in the book, he was given a bunch of money that was glowing. And by the end of that chapter, it had stopped glowing somehow. And he was wondering, oh, maybe they got just defective coins. You know, coins do stop glowing after some time. You have to leave it out in the storm for the light to come back, hence why it's called stormlight. And usually people don't pay with faulty, like almost dry, empty coins. They're usually glowing when you give them people, but you know, he's a slave, so it makes sense he's just been given shittier coins, I guess. But I wasn't so sure, you know. I've seen some in the same chapter. He was talking about how he got a surge of strength in a battle. He was fighting someone. Not really fighting, he was running with a bridge above his head. No fighting at all. He was just in a desperate situation. But he was very stressed, and at the peak, like panic, everything's going badly. He finds a surge of strength inside himself, and confidence fills his body, and he's able to like complete his task with renewed energy, which is very much like normal writing. Usually, people are, oh no, in the apex of the moment, he suddenly finds the determination within himself and manages to save the day. This time, however, it seems that maybe he's absorbing the energy from his coins. We've seen one character be able to do this, but it worked very differently, where he was consciously drawing upon the power of people's lamps, because, you know, he realized, oh shit, these people are using Stormlight as lamps. I can use it for magic. But this guy is like 1 in a million, like he's a very special person. We've only had like 1 chapter with him in the beginning of the book, and he explains that, you know, I have magic. This has not been seen for millennia. This will never be seen again. But our main character can absorb sunlight too. It's not been directly said, but, you know, he had some sort of energy come from nowhere, and in that same chapter, his coins stopped glowing. You know, bit on the subtle end here, but when I'm describing like this, it seems very likely that he's just absorbing Stormlight. But just on this, you know, there's a theory. It hadn't been plot relevant at all anymore. It wasn't mentioned again. He's nowhere near being able to use Stormlight for anything. He doesn't even know about it. But once again, now, during the latest bridge run, he was using the bridge as a shield. He was under a lot of stress. Everyone was exhausted. It was going kind of poorly in the beginning. And suddenly he gains a renewed strength, energy from somewhere, and he's able to make the plan work. He's able to almost pull the bridge by himself, despite normally using like 30 people to do so. And he gets a lot of strength from that. That helps him like to achieve victory here. Victory, you know, he ends up kind of fucking up the entire army, but whatever. And that's cool and all, but once he's done, you know, he gets beat the fuck up by his superiors. They don't kill him, but they still beat him. And under the beating, he's like drops all his money that he was carrying with him. He has no place to store them, so he just keeps his money on him. And he had a lot of money. He's been selling medicine that he's brewing up himself illegally. And all the money was not glowing. He had a lot of money, a lot of good money from a reliable source, and none of it was glowing. Kind of weird, you know. One time, kind of a fluke. 2 times, this is definitely absorption. Like, he's definitely absorbing Stormlight. And I think the book wants you to know this. Like, it is pretty obvious at this point. And that's sick. I managed to call it far before it was even really confirmed. I feel awesome. I'm excited. I want to read more. It's going to be great. Kaladin chapters are amazing. Now I have to read about Shallan instead of that. Shallan. She's not bad. Actually, I love this POV. Second favorite POV out of the 5 main ones. But, you know, any POV is a horrible POV when it comes directly after a Kaladin chapter, because I'm so hooked on Kaladin chapters. I don't even want to read Shallan. I love Shallan chapters. If it was just a book about Shallan, I would read it and I would be happy about it. But it is not a book with just Shallan. It's a book with Kaladin. She shares page count with the absolute peak of characters and POVs. It's hard, man. I love Shallan. I love the chapters. I'm interested. I'm excited. But how can I ever be excited about a Shallan chapter when there's a possibility that I could read a Kaladin chapter instead, you know? It's a weird situation. My least favorite part of the book is how fucking amazing the book is. And then how it withholds that amazement from... I don't know, it's weird. It's funny. I like going extreme with this opinion that Kaladin is amazing. I do like Shallan chapters as well. I am very invested in her plotline. There's some cool shit happening. She's got a lot of lore, and she is I hope that she's going to be soon delving into the magic more. There's one type of magic that is very, like, only used by rich people, and it's much more world-defining. Everyone's using this magic. It's called soul casting. We've learned almost nothing about it, except it's being, like, basically monopolized by the religious group. And there's, like, one primary religious group, and everyone supports it, so it's fine, I guess. And they are working with the king, and they are lending people soul casters, which are, like, basically gauntlets that allow them to use magic. What this magic does is a bit confusing, but it seems to have something to do with transmutation. We've heard multiple times that people create stuff by simply carving out of wood and then transmuting it, like soul casting it, into iron or steel. Which sounds pretty sick. Like, rich people can just transmute shit with the power of soul casting. Holy shit, this is powerful. This is some interesting stuff. I want to learn more about this. Holy shit, what can you do with this? And what are they doing? And like, I'm like constantly reminded that the Soulcaster exists because multiple characters like, oh yeah, I'm just standing in this Soulcast cave reading a book. I'm like, Soulcast cave? How would you... Wait, okay, they can transmute wood into stone. Could they transmute stone into wood? Could they transmute stone into air? In that case, it would be really easy to make a cave. Just make a chunk of stone into liquid and let the rock like flow out. You know, I'm excited. I want to learn about this shit. This sounds very ingrained into the world. I love when magic systems are like really impactful to the world and the story. When there's just a magic system like, oh, I am one person and one person alone who can use this magic power, it is less interesting to me. Like in general, superheroes and stuff are the only person with their power. Or at least like among a very special group of people with that power. But I much prefer if they are reading a book or seeing a show where everyone has this power, because then I can see all sorts of creative uses with it, you know, like a lot of times superpowers are mostly used for just fighting an awesome fight scene and battles, like, wow, look at this guy, he's using his magic powers to cast a fireball and kill this guy, and it's like, yeah, cool. But if it's a world where everyone has this fire, I'm getting to see like all sorts of stuff that's more interesting in my opinion. Like, how can this power be used for farming? Like, oh shit, this guy can awake inanimate objects to life, controlling them by giving them commands. Could you give a tractor a command to like, I don't know, just like drive on yourself? Can you make a car by just taking 4 wheels and commanding them to turn when tapped and stuff like that? There's a lot of stuff you can do with that, and I love it. And I feel like it would be more than just fighting if everyone was using it, because in general, very few people actually fight in real life. We just mostly focus on that in literature because it's like almost the essence of conflict. You know what I mean? Like, oh, 2 people are in conflict with each other. Literally fighting is probably the easiest way to, I don't know, like showcase this and get a resolution. Fight to the death. Very dramatic. But I want to see normal people with magic doing normal stuff. I don't know, I just think that kind of stuff is fun. And soul casting in this book seems not at all to be the normal people using it, of course. It is still a very esteemed thing. Only very rich people have access to it, who are good friends with the church. But it's widespread enough that everyone knows about soul casting, and it's used for normal stuff. It's not a weapon of like mass destruction. It is a tool that you can use to transmute matter, like, as far as I know. I'm not really sure. But if you can turn wood into steel, and then just carve a sword out of wood and make it into steel, it sounds like a tool for creation, and it seems sick. I don't know, I'm just excited about it. I want to learn more. It seems fun. And Shellan, her chapters, so far her goal is to like find and steal a soulcaster, which I am excited about. I hope she succeeds, because that will mean that I can read about soulcasters more and see someone use it. I don't know, it just seems a cool magic system. I'm a big fan of unique magic that isn't just like... No, I shouldn't say it isn't just for fighting, because fighting used for magic is usually pretty, like, magic used for fighting is usually pretty sick as well. I've just gotten more interested in the other use. I think just because of a lack of a... I haven't seen it much, you know? I've watched a lot of Marvel, watched a lot of superhero movies and stuff where there's only one chosen one with the magic and it's mostly just used to fight aliens and stuff. And that makes, like, this makes me interested in, like, knowing, like, why aren't we using it for more productive shit than just war, you know? I think a lot of fun hypotheticals about which superpower would you get and why. And, like, anytime this hypothetical comes up, almost no one really says, like, in order to kill someone or, like, fight people. It's mostly just a joke answer, in my experience. Like, I want to cause destruction with it, but in reality, if I had to choose a superpower in real life, I might choose, like, making portals and stuff, because it would be very convenient, and I could use it to just create infinite energy. We could use it for transport. It would be a very useful tool, you know? So, in real life, I wouldn't be fighting aliens. I would probably just be managing transport of a bunch of random shit. You know? That's the kind of thing I like to think about. What could you use this power for? Like, just to wander a bunch of stuff. And if the author shows me a bit of magic, I start wondering as well. And the author shows that they have wondered as well and really thought this out. Like, there is this magic in the world, and because of that, people do this. You know? I don't know. I think I'm kind of driven this point into the ground too much. So I'll end it. Point is, magic's awesome. I want to see what people use for it. I guess Hallownest actually has an interesting case of this as well, with Soul, and like with Soul Tyrant and shit. Well, there is apparently a form of magic where you can use soul from yourself and other creatures in order to do shit. It's kind of vague about what it is, but the Soul Tyrant ends up wanting to use soul to save, like, the world from the Radiance, and in order to do this, he needs to, like, gather a bunch of souls from different people and experiment on them. This is not a case of just fighting, this is a case of, like, gathering power to then fight the Radiance, probably, but I don't know, I think it's cool that it's just a thing in the world. Everyone has a soul and it can be used, so you can take people's souls and use it. And, you know, the obvious, well, an obvious condition of this, like, byproduct, is that some people will try to get a lot of souls, like the Soul Tyrant, who stole a bunch of souls from people. Makes sense. I can see that happening, and it's interesting to see this happen. You know, if no one was taking souls out of bugs and making a gigantic pile of souls through, like, the mass murder and genocide of multiple people, I'd be thinking, why haven't anyone been gathering a lot of souls by mass murdering people? Anyway. Anyway. So yeah, it's a little weird rant. I'm not even sure what to call this rant. It's a magic system rant. Kind of a book rant that turned into me yapping about the magic system, because it is mostly what I'm interested in about, like, Shallan chapters, the not Kaladin chapter, is the magic system that she will hopefully show me. Awesome. I want to keep my soul in order to, like, shoot at jellyfish. Other cool magic systems. Well, I mean, I could show Avatar as well. It is a magic system that pretty much defines the world, like, that, like, is all around the world, and the world is shaped because of that, like, differently because of that magic system. Like, of course, the Fire Nation are the first to industrialize. They can literally make steam so easily. They have the power of fire. They can heat shit up, so they make steam engines and have a lot of access to steel because they can make great forges with their firebending. It makes sense, you know? It's cool. I like that. Waterbenders set up in the North Poles because there's a lot of ice. They can control the ice. They can melt the ice. They can forge the ice. That makes sense. You know? Oh yeah, I can see that. And they use it in a way. And you know, their people are generally really good at changing and stuff, like adapting to situations. Although they're traditional, which makes sense because it's kind of like water. It's kind of I don't know. Maybe that's not the best example, but you know, hold on. Fuck. Avatar does that pretty well. It's cool. Also makes sense why air nomads or nomads, because their magic literally lets them basically fly. They have so much movement. It's really hard to like keep an air nomad out of something. Like you can make a giant wall, and they can likely just jump above the wall. Like they're not limited by that at all. And it's just kind of free and stuff. They can jump around and always land safely because they have air. They're quick. Whereas earthbenders should also have the same thing actually. They can just do whatever they want. They have the power of creation, melting earth that stays in place. No, their magic really just lets them create structures so easily. Which is probably why they have so many huge entire structures. You know, can make a permanent ass house really easily. Like anything you do is much more permanent than the other benders. Firebenders create fire that lasts until whatever they put the fire on burns out. Airbenders are just moving air. It's not permanent. It just whittles out, as well as water. The most you can do is make something out of ice. Ice melts and water flows away. So yeah, makes sense why this Earth Kingdom is the biggest. They have the easiest time making shit, permanent structures. I'm just ranting about magic systems now. I'm making a disservice by not talking about Warbreaker. Kind of touch on it. Probably my favorite magic system and world in literature. I'm just really excited about it. The simple concept is that everyone has a soul, kind of like in Hallownest. They call it breath, however, but a lot of different cultures think of it in different ways. And some believe the breath that everyone has is their soul. Others believe it just to be a tool and to be bought and sold easily. I should explain a bit more. What the fuck? That's not his usual thing to do. He didn't do it again. He's supposed to, okay, I'm losing here? Are you kidding me? Okay, this sucks. I don't want to lose here. What? He's mixing up his attacks, bro. He's not following the pattern. What the fuck? He's supposed to attack once more after that. What the hell? I'm worried I'm gonna die here. Alright. Get the heal. And you here as well. Jesus. Like once on this move, he attacks again like above him in that weird way. And that's what I'm expecting him to do, but sometimes he just doesn't. I think because I'm too far away, like there he didn't do it. And then he just does a different attack, which I guess makes sense if I'm too far away, but a lot of the time I didn't feel like I was too far away. He should have done that. Oh well. I was just playing badly. I'm making excuses for my... Like you see there, I got it's like usually a chance to heal because he does that. Whatever. Warbreaker, awesome. Everyone has a soul. The only thing you can do with the soul is give it away. Through a command that is my breath to yours, like, or my soul to yours. But you know, if someone gets a bunch of souls because people give them to them, they can start giving their souls to inanimate objects. Just put like 100 souls into a rope and say, give the command to strangle this guy, and the rope will just start to strangle this guy. That's kind of funny. That's the fun way to combat. It's pretty creative. You gotta make weird commands like that. Let's make longer, more interesting commands, like if you put on a suit of armor and say, when I tap 3 times with my pinky finger, make a punch. And you, of course, just say this in a way that makes more sense for the armor, like much more precise and detailed. You gotta make. You can't just say, make me king, because you won't understand what that means. You can say something like, hold this item, and it'll start holding that item. But you can make a long ass command that requires a lot of circumstances, like when I tap you 3 times, do this. When I do this, do that. Blah blah blah. And I think that's funny. It's kind of like coding. It's you do with magic and commands, and it's through people's souls. So in order to like make anything with that magic, you have to have 100 people or more give you their souls, making everyone have access to magic, everyone know about magic because they're intrinsically a part of it. But only through nefarious means can you actually start using it. Or not nefarious. People can, you can just be like a based ass dude and everyone loves you and say, you know what, fuck it, you can have my soul. Or you can convince everyone you're a based ass dude and just lie to them. Say, yeah, you know guys, I'm God, I'm literal God, just give me all your souls because I'm God, and if you put your souls into me, then you'll be caught up, you'll be part of God. And if you roll enough, high enough on your charisma check, people will just believe that. And I think it's cool. That world is really thought out, despite only letting us like read a tiny fraction of what it has to offer. I still feel like I'm very much fulfilled on what the magic system can do. And what I'm not told, I just wonder about. It's awesome. Mistborn also has a cool magic system. My problem with Mistborn is that, once again, I don't know. That issue is that it's mostly just used for fighting. It's not really that ingrained into the world. The only real like stuff people use it for that isn't warfare is making depression stations around slave ghettos, where just put a bunch of people who can manipulate people's emotions and make everyone depressed around them in order to make slaves not revolt. And that's like the main thing they use. They also use transport. There are people that can push or pull iron away from them, regardless of distance. And so there's like highways of just a bunch of iron, like steel items or something, like metal items placed in a line, and then you can just push off of them and move quickly. But only like a very small percentage of people can actually use these. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Mistborn to me had a really cool magic system, but the world wasn't really that shaped by it, sadly, which I think is a bit sad. But it had the potential to. Like I'm always wondering, like, why aren't there more like stuff in the world exclusively made because of these guys that can control stuff? I mean, generally there are like also people who can just make themselves stronger. If they eat a certain metal, they can just become physically stronger, more durable, get more reflexes. And they were basically only used as soldiers, which I mean makes sense. They'll be just a better soldier in overall, in general. But you know what they also would be better at? Like mining or carpentry, just any physically intensive task they would just be better at. And they can work for longer and easier. You should just pay 1 pewter worm, which they're called, instead of 5 people. And you can just pay them 3 people's salary, they'd probably be content. I don't know. I don't see why pewter people, like people who are physically stronger, would want to be in the war. Because they can probably find jobs so much easier other places. But then again, in real life, people do like war as well and want to be soldiers. And I don't get that either, so I guess maybe if you're strong as hell, you'll just want to fight people. In that case, I kinda get it, I guess. Oh, whatever. Anyway. How about people who can burn iron and like steel? They can push and pull any metal away from them or towards them, depending on the iron thing. If they're iron, they can only pull people towards them, like metal towards them. If they're steel, they can only push things away from them. I feel like they could be used pretty well for general transport as well. Movement of goods and services. You know, you can make a car powered by just one good dude pulling on iron, like pulling ahead of him. It's not really physically intensive for him at all. He just needs to have something to anchor on and eat a lot of iron. You know? And, you know, the whole entire thing of people can manipulate their emotions. It's only used to make people depressed. I imagine it should be like a kind of concert, but instead of like a dude singing a really good song or making great comedy. It could just be one dude sitting in a chair in a corner of the room at a party and just making everyone happy. Like, he can just do that. Just ride their emotion of happiness. Just make that bigger. And just sit in the corner reading a book while everyone has a great time because of him. The only use for depression, which is kind of funny, but whatever. I think Mistborn as a world was shaped more by its not by its magic in per se, but its religion. There was some religious stuff. There were little like their concepts of gods and deities were much more relevant to the world building than, you know, the magic. And it was cool as well. Like, don't get me wrong, this one's pretty awesome. That's just a thing that I was kind of wondering about after reading it. I'm kind of excited about reading the next like the next trilogy in Mistborn, which it's in the future. I think it's during the Industrial Revolution. And here I feel like people would be using more magic for more mundane tasks, because in medieval times, I guess people just hadn't figured out what to do with it yet. They were also heavily regulated about any form of technological advancement, or any new ideas were pretty much just shut down by the king, because he was immortal and he just doesn't like new stuff, I guess. He wants things to stay simple. For example, guns existed at one point in the world, but the God King, who's an immortal dude, just forbade them because he didn't like the idea of common people being able to wield a stick that could shoot bullets just as well as an experienced archer. And he wanted people to have years of practice before being able to stand a chance against other soldiers, you know? He didn't like guns because they were too easy and too threatening for normal people, like the thousands of slaves he had. You know, he didn't want... They didn't have any training with archery or like weapons, so they made them generally worse soldiers. But if guns existed, of course you still need a bit of training, but it's much easier to fire a rifle than it is to shoot an bow and arrow, I feel like. That's at least what the God King in this world thought. So he basically made them extinct. Anyway. Other magic systems that are cool. No other magic system is cool. If you have a good magic system and you've watched this for, please tell me, comment, blah blah blah. There's probably like a bunch of shows and anime that can work. What the fuck, did I just take damage from that? Are you kidding me? I think I just like magic systems that that are useful. Useful in like multiple ways. When a thing is just used for fighting, I don't think it's very useful. It's just thematic, I guess it's cool. But if you can use a thing for multiple purposes, I'm much more excited about it. I think that's part of the reason why like my favorite magic games, like video games, are games like Noida and Mages of Mysteria and stuff like that. Noida being the more known one, and more focused on what I'm trying to convey, at least. Where you have very deep control of the spellcasting. It's just to basically like... Oh, it's hard to explain. I don't want to explain Noida spellcasting, that'd be weird. Point is, you can do a lot of shit with it, and you can do a lot of shit with it. And I like that. Compared to Hollow Knight, there's not that... Yeah, I can't invent a new move in Hollow Knight. But I can use the core concept. I can just have a lot of fun with it. But if I want to become a magician, like a mage, a wizard, then I gotta study up, bro. If I would be a true wizard game, it's one where you gotta study the magic system and really learn to control it and make inventions and shit. I don't like magic games where you just kinda... like, where you're not actually inventing new spells or anything. Actually, I remember I watched a video at some point on a dude like, oh shit. talking about magic games, and I was really interested in it. And he had like the most dog water take I could imagine. Like a lot of people agree with him, and I don't think the take in itself is bad. I just said it was dog water, but it was just completely disagree with what I like about magic games. He mentioned Noida as well and hated it for the exact reasons why I love it. And then he mentioned another game that I hated for the exact reasons why he liked it. I think his argument was that wizard games, that he liked to be a wizard, but he doesn't like studying for being a wizard. Which is why he doesn't like Noida. And I kind of have the oh wait, I thought he was doing a different move. I kind of have the opposite opinion where I think the best wizard games are the ones that give you a bunch of magic and tools that you have to figure out how to use on your own. If they just give you a spell that's called Fireball, that's cool I guess, but I want to craft the Fireball myself. I don't know. I like being creative and working out. Like, I just like inventing shit and coming up with different strategies. I don't know how to do that in real life, so I look for video games to fulfill that desire. I think in order for me to really love a magic system, I need to understand why it's cool. If it's just like cinematic and looks cool, I get pretty like I'm just over it immediately. I think I'm just not that interested. But if it's you know, if they spend 200 pages of the book that I'm reading explaining shit, just constant explaining shit, it's torturous boredom filling my mind as it's just more and more set up. Then when something actually happens in the show, I understand it. I'm like, holy shit, this is cool as fuck because of this and this and this and that and that and that. Oh shit. I like to be in on the joke, you know. That's also why Mistborn is kind of cool, because the magic system is cool, because I think Brandon Sanderson, I think that's the author's name. He's really good at coming up with cool as fuck magic systems that really do require skill, and he explains why the shit that is happening works the way it does, and like takes you along for the ride and makes you feel like a badass because you understand what's going on. You really understand how this works and how it feels and why it's like a genius. The example of Stormlight is there's one dude we can use magic so far called Seth. Oh, what the fuck? I thought differently. I didn't think that would happen. And he is I'm not really that invested in his character, but his magic is kind of cool. You can basically control gravity for individuals and individual objects. Like whatever force is making stuff fall down, he controls that in his own words, because he's also religious and blah blah blah. He doesn't know about gravity or respect it because he can just control it. So for example, he carves a hole in a wall, like no, in rock, just a gigantic boulder out of like a hole. And then it'd be too heavy for him to like pull it out, because it's like you gotta get a good grip and all that. It's just a general hassle. But not for him, because he can just kind of make it fall upwards or to the side, and when he's fighting people, he can just make his concept of down different so that he's running on the walls. He can touch a person's armor and make them kind of float, and it's just kind of awkward for them. Get like on make them confused and make them fall to the ceiling. And you know, they got completely fucking confused because they did not expect this, but he did. Oh, it's cool. It's cool. The author's very good at explaining how he's using his power and why it works, which is cool. But he's only really used it for fighting because he's an idiot, really. He just kind of a slave. He does whatever his masters want him to do. And any master that doesn't kill people ends up getting killed by masters that do kill people. And so he just... It makes sense why he's only fighting people, because if his master, like, he completely serves his master no matter what like command they give. So if he for some reason like has a master that doesn't want to kill people, that master at some point gets killed by someone who does want to kill people clearly. So that makes sense, you know. We haven't seen much cool shit from him. Except this awesome fight scene and blah blah blah. What? God. I hate these bugs. All my lifeblood gone. I have a good stockpile of it. If I lose to Zote here with the amount of lifeblood I had, that is a Zote choke. Like, that is a huge fucking Zote choke. Oh my god. Good, good, good. We got them all down. Ugh, fucking Hopper. I'm gonna jump down and kill him. Oh, fuck! Got really scared there. I thought I was gonna get blown up by the balloon, but luckily I just took 1 damage instead. I don't want to lose this Zote again. I hate losing this Zote. And to balloon nonetheless, that's like the worst way to go. Huh! What did I just say, man? Oh my god, I'm so bad at Zote. Oh my god, thank god. Fuck you, god. Why'd you make me this bad at fighting Zote in Hollow Knight? Come on. Oh my god, he was so close this whole time. Oh, almost the biggest Zote choke. Dude, he spawned a balloon directly where I was going. I guess I should have expected it and dodged it. I did dodge. I didn't die. Well, I didn't dodge. Okay, whatever. What? How did I not jump high enough for that? Oh my god. I'm choking. My hands are sweaty. Oh my god. Yo.
Pepperoni, løg, pit.
Hva?
Pepperoni, løg, ananas.
Jeg tror ikke ananas alligevel.
Ikke ananas.
Nej, det er for meget. What the fuck?
Så bare pepperoni og løg.
Yeah. God damn it, I got distracted. I might lose here just because of that. There, it almost fucked up. Go. I thought for some reason he could only float during like his last moment, like when he. I don't know. I thought I had beat him. I was so confused when he like stood up again. I shouldn't have been confused. I was distracted. I just counted wrong, I guess. God, my heart is beating. I'm so nervous. This sucks. I doubt I'll win here just because of how sweaty I am. My nerves are going crazy. But I'll do my best. Okay, just dodge in the beginning, make sure that I don't do something stupid. fuck, that was stupid. I don't know how did I do that. Oh! Alright, we're back at full HP, good. What? Oh, I misclicked. Oh, oh god. That's what I wanted to do. True terror in my voice there. Holy shit. Alright, I'll be quiet again. God, my hands are sweaty. Patience. Patience. Don't need to hit him, just gotta survive. Hey! Just don't be stupid. I can win this. It's been long enough that I don't need to die. Like, if I would have died in this run because I'd be nervous and it was in me. Like I'm not even. I should be quiet again. I either die at the very beginning or at the very end. Fuck! I'm in a bad spot. I got it. Oh! I gotta get soul for when he gets staggered. Or summon move that is like where I can hit him. This is a move where I can't heal if I'm lucky. If I'm good at the game. It's not the right time. Oh, I could have waited for that. I can wait. Okay. Patience. No, I did it again. Why? Ah, shit. Man, Huh. Okay, so I fucked up twice by trying to heal during the, him floating and making fire up underneath the thing. And the reason why I thought I could heal there is because there's a bit more time. Like, there are 4 flames, and then generally you have time to shriek him. And I'm trying to, like, practice that during my Radiant runs. And I figured that if I can have time to shriek, I'll likely have time to heal as well. And it worked out once, you know, I did it, and there was like a spike attack that he used, and I dodged that. But I guess if he doesn't use spike attack, if he uses a different move, like the one he did twice, then I'm just fucked. And I guess I was foolish. I need to practice more, I guess. Shit, good run though, good run. I got really far in that fight as well. It's a long fight. If I didn't have like less nail damage, I probably would have beaten them. But whatever. Good run. Let's hope I win next time.